Welcome into Gridiron Icon, the podcast. I am joined by my partner in crime, number 88, Preston Denard. How are we, sir?
My friend, we are quite well. I'm always excited about doing our shows. We do such a great job, and it's so much fun. I mean, people don't realize how much fun this is.
It is. It's fantastic. It's really just like friends visiting. Thank you for listening. Anybody out there joining us for coffee or lunch or whatever it might be
There you go.
when you listen to this crazy little thing. So we have to follow up on what was a very exciting event in New Mexico over the past few weeks. I think inquiring minds want to know, how did your national anthem appearance go at the New Mexico Bowl? How was the game experience?
That's all I heard, my friend. That's all I heard. It actually went wonderful. Sung the national anthem. And I guess a lot of people didn't realize I could sing. They didn't follow my career as closely as I thought they would, and didn't realize I did an album back in the 80s. I know, mention that, an album, you know.
So fun.
It was fun. The house was packed. It was the New Mexico Bowl. TCU and Louisiana played in it. TCU won that game. I mean, they just dominated. But had great responses to the national anthem. It was the first time I've ever done it for the university in our hometown. And what was really cool is when I hit the ending note, on the home of the brave. And then the planes flew over. Oh, it was so
nice.
Cool, nice.
So nice. There is a video of this, folks. Check it out on our social media. That, I got to tell you, that is really cool. By the way, I'm going to throw it in here because you won't. For anybody listening out there, you can find Mr. Denard's album from the 80s. I'll let you go on a wild goose chase with that. We have played it in our home as background music, put us in a groove. It was a fantastic trip through time, I might add.
My God.
But dude, your voice like nobody knew this about you. Well, I shouldn't say nobody, but many fans do not know this about you.
Well, certainly I get my talents from my mom. And mom's a big time singer. But she's 85 now, so she's retired from singing. I heard she sung the other day at church at her home.
Nice.
In Arizona, but so that's where it comes from. I just, and I'm the director of our choir at our church, and so every now and then I get to lead, and the old ladies go, "Can you sing a song for us?" So anyway, it's all good. And then my dear friend, one of our former wonderful guests, Sidney Justin of the Miracles. Boy, his bride keeps calling me about joining the Miracles. So we'll see about that. I gotta stop working so I can be available.
Yeah.
So that's in the mix this year.
Very interesting. So there is, we're going to tease it. There is an outside chance that as you move into more of your leisurely retirement years, you may be hitting the stage. Possibly. This is a possibility. Let's just tease it. With the Miracles and a former friend and teammate. Come on, that'd be great.
That would be fun. Sidney needs to be up here on my wall, so I got a picture of him over here, but anyway, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. But we did want to revisit something this show, and the last show we talked about the MVP award in the National Football League.
We did.
And so I wanted to bring a little bit more flavor to this in comparison, because I think it's going to come down to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. You agree?
I do, but I have to tell you, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I think there's clearly a front runner at this point.
I do too. And if people still wanted to consider, and I don't know when that announcement's going to come about, but if people still wanted to consider, here's some thoughts. In 17 games, Lamar Jackson has 316 passes out of 474. Josh Allen, in 16 games, 307 passes of 483 altogether. Okay? So the yard difference, almost 1,000 in its likeness, a little less than 1,000. Jackson has as of last week, 4,100 yards, a little bit over 4,100. And Josh had 37, a little bit over 3,700. Now, let's look at the touchdowns. 41 touchdown tosses and 4 interceptions for Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen, the best thing he's got there is 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Okay, still very impressive, correct?
Very.
139 rushes for 915 yards for Lamar Jackson, 102 rushes for 531 yards, and 12 touchdowns for Josh Allen. So you could say, there's some small apples and oranges to compare, but more than likely, if it's all about production and is it all about going to the playoffs, how far somebody's going to get, both of those guys have been in the same boat, so to speak. But you look at the comparison of the statistical numbers, and you still say, it's still all up in the air. But I truly do think if it's based on production, Lamar Jackson wins it going out.
I'm with you. I think especially over the last couple of weeks, he's just absolutely dominated in these games, breaking Michael Vick's record. And this is nothing against Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a freak.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a freak. He is a heck of a football player. And the difference between the two, I think, is that Josh Allen will stand. He's a big guy, stands in that pocket. He can play pocket passer. And just when you go to sleep on him, he runs and scores 12 touchdowns running the ball. So, look, taking nothing away from Josh Allen, but how do you not give it to Lamar at this point? He is crushing the competition. See, right? Yeah, take him off the Ravens, and are they in the playoffs?
No.
There's
Well, you heard what Derrick Henry said.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's in the backfield. Doesn't matter who lines up wide or who's in front of him. It's still Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
It's all about him. He's the engine that makes him go. He's the starter that turns the engine. He's just an outstanding athlete consistently, and he's just poured it on the second half of the season. What more would you want?
Yeah, I don't think there is anything. I think what we're seeing is overachieving on what people thought at the beginning of this last season when they got Derrick Henry. I mean, those two, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, they've added speed on the outside, although Zay Flowers isn't going to play this weekend due to injury. They're locked and loaded. I don't know if there's been a better chance for the Ravens to get to the Super Bowl than this season.
Yes.
So I think that they may really rock the AFC a little bit here. If Lamar keeps playing like this, if somebody finds a way to force him to just pass, which, by the way, 41 touchdowns, not bad for a running back, huh? Remember when that was the knock on him coming out of Louisville? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a running back. I was just as guilty. I'm like, incredible athlete, not a great pocket passer. 41 touchdowns.
Yeah. Argue with that.
Isn't
it about production? Isn't it truly about production?
Yeah.
And it should be. If you produce, we reward you. And if you break in the beginning, everybody pays on potential, right? Rookies coming up, that whole deal coming out of college, where you project them to be drafted, it's all on potential. Once you get to the league, all the other national honors are based on production. Well, It doesn't always go that way, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but the thing with Lamar Jackson that I don't think can be denied is where would he not do this at? Like, put him on a terrible team with a bad offensive line. Put him on the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Is he still Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, true.
And he's got all those wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. He's still DJ Moore. You put him on the Giants. Is he still good? Yep. He's got Malik Neighbors. He's got, you put him in Jacksonville. He's still Lamar Jackson. And
what about it? You put him with the Rams.
Oh,
Can't be. It open.
Yeah, that would cause McVay would have to really open his playbook and come up with some creative stuff. And he would.
And get another running back too. That's going to fit that. Yeah.
Incredible. Well, I agree with you. I think tying a bow on that MVP conversation of a couple of weeks ago, I think it's Lamar. I just don't see how, and this will be his third MVP at that rate, folks. We can very confidently say he's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Whether he wins a Super Bowl or not, that's just dominating performance. So sticking in the backfield for a minute in NFL, because we're in the heart of the playoffs. Don't know if you've seen the news, have not even asked you. Deshaun Watson blew out his Achilles again.
Oh, wow. Wow. Didn't know that. Did not know that.
Breaking news this morning. So he was out with the Achilles. He re-blew it out. They are saying he's not going to play at all next year either.
I don't think he can come back from that on a
I don't
second
either.
blowout of now.
No.
It's not going to heal for him to be the athlete that he needs to be. I don't think he can get there. I mean, there's one thing about wear and tear, but there's one thing about wear and tear on the same injury, and it happens to be an Achilles. Come on. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's still not the player he used to be, even last year, moving in the pocket. So it's tough to come off those type of injuries. Those are just dynamic.
What would it mean to be a Cleveland Browns fan? That is the worst. Now, Deshaun just recently reworked his contract, and that was prior to him blowing out his Achilles again this morning. That is the biggest disaster in professional sports history.
Yeah.
The fall from grace from him as a Houston Texan, which, by the way, he was a really good player in that final year in Houston, but not to this degree. This has set back the Cleveland Browns are cursed. Can we just get this is the worst thing a person could. I can't even imagine what Browns fans are feeling right now. By the way, at the same time that the guy they fired, Baker Mayfield, has the Buccaneers in the playoffs and put up Pro Bowl numbers for the second year in a row.
Yep. Yeah.
You're
talking about GMs and all those people that are making these sound decisions, and they're so many of these executives have missed the boat so many different times, and it's all about an emotional, personal feeling. You can look at the stats, you can look at all the criteria that attracts you to that athlete, but wear and tear does play on you. And if you don't have an opportunity to surround somebody with those folks who can help elevate them, it's a tough nut to swallow. Let me tell you.
Incredible. And we're talking about $200+ million contract guaranteed. Look, if we were tinfoil hat guys on this show and went into conspiracy theories, you got to kind of wonder, does Deshaun just want to take the check and disappear? Maybe this is, he's getting the money.
Yeah.
He's getting the money, and he's not even going to play. He didn't play this year. He's not playing next year.
Wow.
Have we ever seen this before? I mean,
That's the nature of the beast in the National Football League. Sometimes when they commit themselves to those contracts, they commit all out, and all of a sudden you may get a difference of effort, play, or energy, or investment, or whatever, and they just, I don't understand it. Those who truly need to be rewarded are the ones that are missing out, the ones that are showing great growth, and they got the youth, and you can invest in them for long term. And then you bring in what you think might be your quote-unquote savior at quarterback position, and he can't improve it. He can't improve it any better than Baker Mayfield, and Baker might have had even a better run in Cleveland than he did. So it's unfortunate, and man, who knows? He may be cursed.
Yeah, Baker got him to the playoffs for the first time in a million years. This is going to set back Cleveland Browns and their fans decade. I just feel like this might be one of the biggest disasters in sports history. And I don't think we'll see Deshaun Watson again. I don't think he plays for the Browns ever again. And
this is it.
Yeah, that was it. And I don't think anyone's going to pick him up.
No.
I don't think anybody wants the headache of his baggage. And once he is healed, like you said, Aaron Rodgers has been pretty open about. And Aaron Rodgers had a pretty good year, folks. If you look at the numbers, it's like, how did he do that on that team? But even he said, I'm not fully back. So we're looking at Deshaun 2-3. This is not. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Not going to work.
I think we've seen the last of Deshaun Watson. I think it's over.
I agree. It's just tough to come back from something like that, especially if you do it twice.
Yeah.
Just
devastating.
really difficult.
Might be better to take the money, the direct deposit, and just kind of slink off. And don't stay in Cleveland. Please move. Like the people in Cleveland will. Yeah.
Oh, my
Okay.
God.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Based on all of this information, since we moved past MVP talk and Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns are very likely going to find themselves in the quarterback market in the next NFL draft.
Yes, they
This
will.
is insane. While Baker Mayfield leads the Bucs into the playoffs, Shedeur Sanders. If you're Dion, as a father and a former pro, the Cleveland Browns, for one, I do not think Shedeur Sanders is a first-round draft pick. I'm going to come clean on it right now. I watched him all year. Don't see it. Don't get it. I don't even think he's a second or third rounder. I'll be very candid. Being
All
blunt.
right.
I'm being
Yeah.
blunt.
Yeah, you are.
But if you're Deion Sanders and the Cleveland Browns decide to draft Shedeur Sanders, what's he going to do, Preston? What does that look like?
I am just, it's probably one of the first times that I've ever at a point where I go, what the hell are these people talking
It's
about?
incredible.
Leave it alone. You heard me say last time we addressed this in regards to Dion's involvement. He can't control it. He really can't control it, And if teams are smart, they're not going that route again. They're not going to. So what's going to happen? He's going to expect him to be drafted by somebody. He's going to try to maneuver his boy to be going to a team that he would like for him to based on the comfort that he wants. And he's going to drop and drop and drop because nobody's going to play that game with him. They're going for their desperate need. Shedeur is not the savior at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Now, he can be drafted number one there. He'll be a young, talented athlete. But there's a lot of technical discipline that he needs to be that top flight quarterback. So that's the biggest thing that I think. But Dion's not going to control this draft. He's not going to have the argument that, okay, you're not going to get my boy. He's going to walk away from the draft. I'll tell you what, if somebody does invest a draft pick in him and they are comfortable, you know who's going to do it? A team that doesn't need a quarterback. Because they're going to use him for trade bait. And Dion's going to fight that. And he's already arguing with teams, hey, if you're just using my son as a token to maneuver and do all that, we're not going for it. But we are going to select chosen teams to go to. I don't think he can control that dynamic. And I think it's going to cause a very difficult and uncomfortable posture for his son going into the draft.
Excellent. Well stated. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think this has all the earmarks of a hot mess. And Dion was one of the best football players I've ever seen. Yeah. This whole mess with Colorado and where someone stands on the talent level to each his own, I didn't see it. And that's really what I was poking at. Do you think there's an NFL organization that's going to let Dion come in and dictate, my kid's the starter and he's going to be rookie of the year and I'm going to be in the building all the time? And is there a poverty franchise? I mean, there's a few, the Cleveland Browns. I'm looking at places like Dallas where he played. And what about the Raiders now? After the firing of Antonio Pierce and the GM yesterday, Tom Telesco, does Tom Brady have a say? Does he go, oh, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is my guy. Let's draft him.
Yeah, I guess he worked out with him. I wonder what Tom Brady really thinks, even though he did train him and work out with him. I really like to know what he thinks because now being a part of the Raiders organization, you need a dynamic player to come in there. And I don't even know if it's a rookie that's dynamic enough to come in. I mean, last year had the rookies that you could have considered coming in, but I don't even know who their backups are. To be very blunt, I don't even know who the Raiders' backups are. You see, they're not being mentioned as a possible resurgence at quarterback. So now that investment window is wide open. Now, here's a tool of thought. Yeah, the Raiders could draft him, but they'll probably use him. They go get a hell of a veteran quarterback right now that can change the dynamics immediately. Now, you could do that. Or if you got some money, since you've released some guys and you got a little pocket change in you, you could go get that guy also and bring Shedeur in and just let him develop. But if Deion's in the mix like a Jerry Jones, I see a little junior Jerry Jones coming into play. And that's going to destroy anybody's team because you see what's happening to the Cowboys, even though I don't like the Cowboys. But
Same. No, that's exactly what the insight I was looking for. As a former pro, you know what it's like in these organizations. Deion's walking around the building dictating his kid. Come on, folks. A poverty franchise might do that. Someone who's desperate or in bad straits, but I don't see. For one, he's not going to go first. I feel strongly that Cam Ward, the kid from Miami, will be the quarterback that comes off the board first. But boy, does that have all the earmarks of a disaster incoming if he slides. I believe, do not quote me on this, that he stated he is not going to go to the NFL draft, and I think I know why. I think he slides. I don't think NFL people are enamored with him like the media.
I agree. He's a talent, Stacey.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
He's got the ability, but he didn't have the skills yet to be that dynamic quarterback because he can throw a ball in college on a thin line between defenders, but those guys can play at that next level, and that's a tough thing. Let me ask you a question behind all that. Where does he rank with Quinn Ewers of Texas? How do you compare those two in a draft? And we're not even talking Cam Ward. We already know where Cam's at. He should be the first quarterback taken.
I think so. But based on, and again, I don't think it's a quarterback-rich draft at all. I think your point is well stated. Last year had some studs. I think there's going to be backups on NFL teams now that are hotter than both of them. The kid Joe Milton in New England this last week, somebody's going to like what they saw there. The kid I think that Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur Sanders reminds me what happened with Anthony Richardson with the Colts. Lots of athleticism, looks good. He can't really play. And he's a heck of a kid and an athlete. But so you coming back to the kid from Texas, I'm going to be straight up, at least from what I saw, and I'm just an armchair quarterback. I think he's a backup in the NFL. I don't see him in a starting role, maybe in a really dumbed down West Coast offense type thing, but I didn't see enough at Texas, especially in his last game, and then of course he's got a game coming up at the time of this recording. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on him? I think he looks the part. He reminds me of like a Will Levis, who didn't really do so hot in Tennessee.
My opinion about him is I think he is talented. I think that, God bless the Arch for just being so patient and just being
unreal.
Discipline and all that, because he's a better athlete. He's a better quarterback.
He's a better player.
But seniority has something to do in college with the confidence level. And I don't see Quinn hurting people. He's a hell of a backup quarterback in the National Football League. He could end up, if he get a little better, stronger arm strength to throw the deep ball to some of those big boys up at the next level. I think he could do that. He is a very talented athlete, but he is a sound technical quarterback with the skills and the learning trajectory that he's gotten already from coach. And I just think he's talented enough. But the question I think was, how does he compare to Shedeur? I think he's a little more polished.
That's sure.
That's my thought. He's a little bit more polished. He looks like he has a greater potential on paper to be a starter sooner than Shedeur. But, you wonder when the guys get to that next level, do they turn it on? And become that guy you want? Do they become that competitive that their whole game that you used to know in college is totally unrecognizable and they're an outstanding athlete? Sometimes that next level really brings out the best in a person, and it's yet to be seen. So where are we in this whole mix? The NFL executives now got to project their emotions on what they think they like and how they see a fit with their team.
Yeah.
I think this is a draft where the jury is out and will be out all the way through the draft picks.
Yeah, interesting. I think we're on the same page. I don't touch these quarterbacks. Cam Ward, yes. The rest of them, I just wouldn't. Shedeur Sanders has all the earmarks of Trey Lance. They're not on my draft board, and I'm not picking on the kid. I don't particularly like his attitude, and from what I've seen, either with the watch stuff in the stands and all that kind of stuff. I think you've got other kids that I'd take a closer look at in this draft. But interesting perspective, because as a father and a former player, I feel like that has a combustibility factor with Dion in your building that may not be on anybody's draft board. I don't think the winning franchises will even consider it. I just don't think so.
The only way I see is a desperate program would probably take the pick, or again, like I said earlier, if you got a team that can afford that pick and they can trade it away or do whatever they need to do with it to make an attractive gain on another athlete or monies or whatever it might be, I think it's be worthwhile, because a lot of people, you haven't heard this. You haven't heard a lot of NFL teams talking about Shedeur right now.
Not at all.
They're behind closed doors. They're really dissecting his skill set. They're saying he's talented. Somebody's probably talking about, I think we can develop him. He's got good size. He's good strength. And he can throw the deep ball. And he's got strength to throw that ball in the... But there's a mental capacity up there that has to direct you into the right throw, into the right read, and how do you perform? Yeah, that's gonna. And depending on where he goes, I'm telling you, a backup that's been a seasoned backup will be very competitive with him.
Yeah, I completely agree. We're on the same page. I was very curious. I see the Canadian Football League in his future, and that's all I'm going to say. And I'm not picking on the kid. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Okay, as we close out this week, I've got to ask you the state of college football. This has been something else. I don't know about in your household, knowing your sons like I do. It was an absolute gut punch to watch Oregon lose to Ohio State. I also want to say that I completely predicted it.
Did you?
I did. Yeah, I think it's very tough to beat a team twice in 1 year. And the first game was so close, came down to errors.
Let me change that statement a little bit. It's very tough to beat Ohio State twice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anybody else, I would have gave them a clear shot that they could do it. But Ohio State, I didn't say one word. I said, I'm going to shut up and watch it, because the play of the game is what's going to dictate how this thing's going to roll. And when Ohio State came, you just knew. You just knew.
Oof. Yeah, they just came out on fire, and I don't think the Ducks were ready for it, being blunt. And I tell you what, that kid, that wide receiver for Ohio State, the young guy, oof. Oh, man, does he look like a man-child. Just a man playing with kids. He is going to be special.
He is going to be special, along with Williams in Alabama, the other freshman.
Oh, yeah, oof.
I think they were two of the best in the entire country. And, I mean, watch out for Ohio State. I would have never said that, but watch out for Ohio State taking this whole daggone thing. I just have a feeling that they're on a roll. Yeah. They're on a roll, and they may just do it this year.
I don't think anybody stops them. I'll be honest. Big game coming up here with Texas.
Yeah,
and
it's going to be a good one. I'll be sitting here watching it.
I will probably be texting each other.
Yes, we will.
It's a big one, but I'm with you. Looking at the field, I think Ohio State, and what a crazy turn of events. Just weeks ago, everyone wanted Ryan Day fired. Mm-hmm. They were running him out on a rail, like, get him out of here. And the loss to Michigan, and all that stuff. Wouldn't that be something if it comes down to that?
You know what? That's the nature of fans. Why do they call them fans? Because it's short for fanatic. They're helter-skelter all over the place. Oh, no, we got to get rid of him. Oh, we got to keep him. Oh, my, So that's the whole thing about fans. But when you realize it, you got to trust one entity, and that's the players. And if you know your players, you don't have to worry about that nonsense.
Boy, they look talented in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Just every position was just the line.
We're going to watch them tonight, and we're going to find out how serious they are about this journey. And before we get out of here, my friend, I just want to bring up one more point. we talked about those Penn State Nittany Lions. Well, they played well last night. I mean, it was a good game to watch.
Close.
How in the heck do they not beat Notre Dame? I really thought they could handle Notre Dame. They got the defense for it. But I mentioned that to say this. I mentioned about 2 players from Penn State that I played with, Mike Gooman and John Cappelletti. No, but there was a third. Lydell Mitchell.
Oh, Lydell Mitchell. Went to the Colts, right?
Yes, he went to the Colts, and then he came to the Rams for 1 year. Oh. And, oh, my God, what a pleasant – you didn't know that, huh?
I did not remember that.
I believe it was 81 or 2, something like that. But anyway, Lydell came to us, and he played – even in his late stages, he was still good. Sweet runner. But, Lydell Mitchell. I just wanted to mention that, throw that out.
That is phenomenal. Well, I mean, Cappelletti, Gooman, who's been on this show, and those guys are icons for some of us that remember that. Okay, so on that note, as we close out, give me a quick prediction. Rams-Vikings Monday night.
Oh, my goodness, boy.
And a huge shout-out, obviously, to the tragic situation in Los Angeles.
Yes.
You were in it. For those not listening, you were in the air in an airplane, got turned around. I mean, insane.
It's really crazy. The winds is the biggest thing. And, airlines have a tolerance of so much wind that they can take. And, boy, getting ready to land, and all of a sudden that plane takes right off because, wheels were down, ready to land. And they took off, had to fly back an hour to where we originated from. So,
crazy.
Unfortunate because now there's 5 fires going on, and I just feel for all those folks out there. I've been trying to keep an eye on folks that I know, making sure that they're going to be okay, but I haven't heard anything. I think everybody that I know is pretty cool, but how unfortunate for us. I look at Pacific Palisades. I looked at the video, all those wonderful homes burnt down. Oh, my God. I'm just so thankful for what we have when we do have it, because it could be taken at any moment. So God bless those people, and I pray that they can get back on their feet and they get the support they need.
Amen, brother. Amen.
But as far as your prediction, I'm going for the Rams. I'm going for them. And I think they can win I really do think they can win by 10 points in this game, no matter what the score be. If it's 17-10, 24-14, I don't know, whatever it might be. I think they're good by 10 points because they're not going to run away with it. And if the Rams do become successful, they're going to do it by the air. And they're going to be able to make a difference in the kicking game. That's what I see.
Okay.
That's
predictions
why I say 10
for number
points.
88. Yeah. I love it. I think they're going to rally for the community. I think that they're built for this kind of stuff. I also think like McVay's been holding back on the playbook. I want to believe that because he's been really vanilla the last 3 weeks. So I think he's going to unleash it on his former offensive guy, Kevin O'Connell, that comes from the Rams staff, another really good coach. But, he was literally McVay's right-hand man for X amount of years.
Yeah.
Go Rams. I think we pull it out this week, 31-21. I'll go with you, 10 points.
I like
there we go.
You even have an actual score to it.
I made that up. I made it up.
I made mine up too. So what the heck?
I love it. I love it.
Guessing game.
It's good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us this week for our fireside chat with myself and Mr. Preston Denard. Any parting shots, my friend?
Oh, man, just let's enjoy this weekend and uplift these folks in Southern California with your prayers. And go Rams. That's all I can say. And NCAA football.
I love it. Enjoy. Hug the ones you love. Myself and number 88. We'll see you next week. Thanks for being here.